Once I was kind of involved in these circles and I started meeting people and seeing, how things operated, I was like, wait a minute, these people don't really know what they're doing either.
Wow, this is a great show. It's very uplifting. Yes. A lot of our shows are...
I tend to have an effect on people.
Welcome to Cumberland Unfiltered. My name is Gary, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Brad and Jason. Our guest today grew up in Providence. As a young woman, while going to school, she volunteered at many social service agencies where she learned the importance of support, guidance, and opportunity. Her family taught her to be responsible, resilient, and loyal. She learned what it takes to operate a successful business, which led her to open her own notary business, which was stable, useful, and portable. She now runs the Passgrove Group, where her work is centered around education, financial literacy, and helping people make informed decisions. She decided to run for the Rhode Island House of Representatives because she believes people deserve access to information, resources, and honest explanation. She believes Cranston needs a legislator who understands how policy affects local life. Her campaign is about service, accountability, and helping people see the bigger picture to make Rhode Island a more prosperous community. She wants to make Cranston more affordable and easier place to open a business while improving the educational process. Please welcome to the table the next District 18 Rhode Island State Representative, Jessica Gomes. I made it through.
It usually is like 3 takes on that baby before he gets it right. Yeah.
Look at that. Good luck. Good luck.
So it's good luck for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I lead off many times with the questions about, I know I mentioned a couple of things that you want to do to make Cranston a better place, but tell us your path, how the path got you to where you are, where you decided to throw your freaking hat in your ring. And, that's a big thing.
It is.
I don't have the nerve to do that kind of stuff, so I got to give you credit.
Thank you. So I decided to run for office because it just felt like the correct thing to do. I kept making up excuses about not being ready for it. It's something that I've been thinking about for the past couple of years. I've thought about it, but I felt like I wasn't really prepared to do it. I didn't know what I was doing. So I did get myself involved in some politics in Providence. I've worked on a Democrat campaign that I'm still the treasurer for now, and I learned bucket loads of information doing that, and my intention was kind of, to feel it out because I knew that it was a possibility for me in the future. I always felt it internally, but I didn't accept it. And I continued to make excuses, about preparation. But then once I was kind of involved in these circles and I started meeting people and seeing, how things operated, I was like, wait a minute, these people don't really know what they're doing either. So
well said.
And so I just started working on building up the skills that I thought that I would need in order to be successful in this space. And I said to myself that when the time feels correct, I'll go for it.
Ooh, yeah.
So I've been encouraged by many people for a long time to run for office. I've been encouraged by people, on both sides of the political spectrum to do it. And towards the end of last year, I decided that I was going to run. And then January time, I was like, I don't like when it takes a long time to make decisions. I prefer to just make a decision instead of lingering on it. So once I decided that I was going to do it, I said, all right, I'm just going to go and do my nomination paper so that I can just get this thought out of my mind and I don't have to worry about it anymore. And then at that point, I will be obligated to, because if I make it public that this is something that I'm willing to do, then there's no chance that I'm going to step away from it. So that was my way of locking myself in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a very similar story. We got into politics locally and it was really something, we had contemplated for a little while, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, let's just pull the trigger.
Yeah.
See what happens. Because you're right, there is a lot to learn.
There's a lot to learn.
We had a bunch of people running town and none of us knew anything. Nobody was a political guru. Nobody ever done it before.
Yeah.
So we definitely had a little bit of flying by the seat of our pants, but that's how we met this fine gentleman over there.
Yeah. It's just, it felt like the right thing to do. And I feel an obligation to the community because I have a lot of information in my mind, and it's really changed my perspective on a lot of things, the things that I've learned over the process of all of my obstacles in my life, and I feel an obligation to share that with as many people as I possibly can.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you realize real quick is when things happen in your town, you think to yourself, man, this is unfair. Who do I call to get this corrected? And there's nobody. Because literally, then the people that do have the elected office, and I've sent emails out, and I've CC'd you on a lot of the emails I've sent to, and they don't respond. They don't respond. They're just, so you're like, well, how do I make this better? And the only way is to go out and start knocking on doors and get the position for yourself.
Yep.
Well, and then, like I said, the information, even the information as far as accountability and transparency, we're having trouble now getting information that should be pretty easily
Put it into the
AG's office, right? Yeah, because we don't get a response. Yeah, it's like, wait a
It's
minute.
state law. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not like it's all get to it. No, it's black and white state law, and they're like whatever. I'm like, do your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's not working in Rhode. It's not working when you do it.
So you said you worked for a Democratic candidate. Was it because you wanted to learn, or was it because you believed in the candidate?
It was a couple of different reasonings for my thought process at the time. It was an opportunity. And so I always move where God, I prefer to use the term universe. I use those interchangeably.
Mm-hmm.
I always listen when I am told to do something, whether or not I understand it. I trust completely in my faith, and I trust in God to lead me to where I'm meant to be. So anytime an opportunity comes to me and I feel like this is something that was meant to happen, I will move forward regardless of how I feel about it, because it's not up to me.
Yeah.
And so I met her. My father actually introduced me to her a while back. It was in the beginning when I had first started my notary business. And he said, oh, you got to meet her. She's a great person, and, she'll have a lot of connections for you so that you will be able to, market your notary business. She's having a fundraiser. There's going to be a bunch of politicians there. I want to bring you and I want to introduce you to her. And so I said, okay. And there was a moment, and she and I have talked about this many times since then. She's a great mentor and advisor for me to this day. And there was a moment when I met her and we were at her fundraiser and we just locked eyes.
Yeah.
And I felt it. I knew that, there was something good here meant for me.
Yeah.
And so, I started just building a relationship with her. I didn't start doing any finance or anything for her right off the bat, but we started growing, a relationship with each other. And that's when I really kind of started learning how the system itself works. And so through that, it really broadened my perspective on things, because at that point, I was a registered Republican. I felt very comfortable with that. She was always aware of my party affiliation. It's not anything that I've ever hidden from anyone. But my thought process at the time, and I was new at having political opinions. My thought process at the time was, the Republicans are right about everything, and the Democrats have been lying to the community. And, I felt some anger towards that. But through my relationship with her, that was when I really, really differentiated between good and bad, right and wrong, and that had nothing to do with Republican Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
she helped me break that. She and I do not see eye to eye on a lot of things, but we've had so many incredible conversations where the both of us have learned from those conversations.
Yeah.
And, she taught me, I know how much the community means to her, and I know how hard she went for this state and for the people, not only in her district, but statewide. And I think that she was a great representative, even though I don't agree with all of the bills that she passed, and she and I have had those conversations, but I do think that she was a very good representation of what the people in her district voted for.
Yeah.
And that is what real, democracy is, a democratic republic. That is what the foundation is built upon, are people being able to elect someone who they feel will represent their values appropriately. And I feel like she did that. So to answer your question of, was it with support for this person, I initially went into it because I knew that this was an opportunity presented to me from God, and I was going to move forward on it regardless. As I started to learn her, I started to support her as a representative for her constituents that voted for her.
Yeah.
And I think that she's a great person and she did a great job while she was in there. And I was able to differentiate that. I don't really agree with everything that she did. If we were working together, I probably wouldn't have voted for a lot of the bills that she put in there. But I think that she and I are a great representation of bipartisan leadership, and I would have been honored to serve in the House with her.
So we had a similar situation when Brad ran for mayor. He ran as an independent.
Right.
We had the gentleman who was the head of the Republican Town Committee left the Republican Town Committee to come and work on Brad's campaign. We had the former Democratic mayor of Cumberland that came and worked on Brad's campaign. We had an independent senatorial state senator candidate that came, and we worked closely with her. So we had the same thing. We had a lot of people that if you would have sat down and you would have come up with 100, the 100 issues, and we would discuss all of them, we probably would struggle to agree on 50% of them. But the goal and the focus was always on let's get ourselves educated on how to run. Let's get our campaigns moving forward. Let's go out and meet as many people as we can. And Brad might walk with another candidate that was kind of on our quote unquote team. We got hammered for having a team.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, there were 11 of us.
Apparently, we weren't supposed to do that.
There were 11 or 12 of us. The Democratic Town Committee has 93.
Yeah.
And they operate as a team.
Yeah,
But-
they do.
But we can't be a
But
team.
we're not allowed to operate as a team, So they were hammering. Oh, they're all together. Yeah, well, yeah, we're helping each other, just like you guys are.
Yeah.
Just like
We've done this before. So it's like,
Yeah. But he would go knocking on doors with another candidate. That when they knock on the door and somebody answered the door, the person that answered the door might ask one question and it'd be two different answers, and that was but that was okay. That was okay because you know what I mean. They're not. So
Well, like you said, you can sit down and still have a conversation with it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the problem these days, I feel, is that everything's so polarizing. There's no reaching across the aisle anymore.
Yeah.
It's
polarized.
like either this way or that way, and there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
So we get criticized a lot on the show. The Republican people that we've had on the show are probably in the minority. If I had to list them out, we've had more Democrats than Republicans. We've had some Republicans that have already been elected, but as far as candidates, I think more. But the difference is that I think the Republicans and the Democrats we've had on are more center of the road. They're more toward the middle than the two outliers, and I think that's where nobody can get along is when you
I
have
agree.
somebody on the far left and somebody on the far right, and you
Right.
get them in a room, they're not going to get along. If you get somebody in the middle left and somebody in the middle right, they're probably they wouldn't even know.
Yeah, I
You're right.
completely agree with that, and I feel like what we're shown in the media are examples from the far right and the far left, and that by far is not the majority, but it's very polarizing, right? Because you can stimulate people emotionally when you're using examples from there, and so if you can anticipate how a population is going to respond emotionally to something that you put in front of them, then you can kind of direct the movements of that population. I see a lot of that happens. So why would anyone focus on the center if you're not going to be so successful at eliciting, an emotional response in that population, and that cannot be monetized? So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, those are the people that define, the media, what the party is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah, like when I was in the military, and I was a big fan of John McCain. Didn't like some of the votes that he made. And I disagree with a lot of, but I was a fan of John McCain. But somebody would come out and say, "You can't be a fan of John McCain." Like, no, yes, I can. Yeah, you don't define who I am or what I am or who I like or who I don't like. Just like there are John Fetterman. I didn't think I'd like.
yeah.
Fetterman.
Oh my God, Fetterman!
Yeah,
I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. I bashed him so much.
This guy wore shorts and sweatshirts.
Not even that, but in the beginning, I mean, he had medical issues. It looked like they were clearly, handling.
They're playing him out there. Weekend at Bernie's trying to.
Exactly, but what a recovery!
Yeah.
What a recovery!
yeah.
That is a great example.
And he
of
doesn't
everything coming back.
and he doesn't care. He votes what his conscience says to vote, and he votes how he thinks. He thinks no amount of pressure. No, I don't think he.
Oh, he was talking about it.
Okay.
But I don't think he has yet.
Yeah, but
They put somebody up against him though. I know.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But then, like, he's not playing in the sandbox, and it's like you don't have to play in the sandbox.
No,
you
you're
need to understand.
You're
You're
elected by the voters, and you have to do what you think the voters want. And it doesn't matter the amount of pressure you get from the far left to the far right. You got to do what you think the
Well, that's why
voters.
the messaging has to be, because I found myself getting sucked into some of that too. Because when you go down this road of running a campaign, you get sucked into the maybe you should stay away from that. Maybe you should not do
They
this.
tried that with me.
Yeah, and it's like no, it's like this is why I actually believe it.
Yeah.
It's like if they don't like it, don't vote for me. It's like if you like it, vote for me. And,
Unfortunately, more didn't like it than
I
like
know.
it.
Well,
I'm just kidding. The part of the problem we found is that not everybody's educated.
not everybody pays attention.
No, so not.
I mean, perfect example is you.
Yeah, yeah.
He didn't put a single yard sign out. He's not gonna do it.
I put $10 to open my account. I still have the same $10 amount.
And he won pretty handily.
Yeah. So
It was meant to be.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
meant to be.
Exactly.
I wish it wasn't, to be honest. With you. Now that I'm 2 years into the school committee, it's like,
Say-
no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But I met with a teacher this
Cumberland
morning.
boogeyman.
Yeah. We met with the teacher this morning who's facing retribution. And
Well, the good thing is those people think they know that they could reach out to you,
Yeah.
some other individuals, because
They'll fight for 'em.
You're gonna fight for them.
yeah, we're not gonna.
Run for school committee.
My son had an incident in the school, and they violated a bunch of policy, school policy, and I went in and I said, you violated this policy, you violated that policy, you violated this policy. Oh, by the way, now because I filed a complaint, that you violated these policies, now my son's getting hazed by the same people you're supposed to be overseeing and preventing that. And 70 emails, nothing. They did an independent investigation, found, they did violate 3 out of the 4 claims I made, and one of them they couldn't do, they couldn't say that they did or not. It was, and then I was like, okay, now that we know that they violated these policies, which caused my son to physically be harmed and mentally be harmed, what's the consequences? What's the discipline? What's the punishment? And there was nothing. One of the people ended up being coach of the year. The other people ended up being athletic director of the year. You know what I mean? So if you held them accountable, that would not be happening. So I was like, you know what? I'm running for school committee.
for you.
But then the reason I didn't run for real was because I met the guy who I was going to be running against.
He liked it.
Yeah, they got along with him. No, like we were talking about before.
Like-minded.
It's a nonpartisan race, but still, he was in an ad in the Valley Breeze that was saying, "Here are your Democratic candidates," and his face was there, and he was a Democratic candidate. I didn't say I was Republican or Democrat or Independent or anything, because it wasn't. You didn't have to, and but he was a Democrat. We went to an event where we were going to be. It was like a meet and greet with the community. We were seated next to each other. I was an Army vet. He was an Army vet. We had a lot of the same story, a lot of the same experiences. We talked. We agreed on almost everything, and I said at the end of the day, I said, this is a great guy. This is a guy I would feel comfortable being on the school committee with my kids in the school system. So I said, if he wins, I'm happy. If I win, so be it. So
Win-win.
yeah, win-win, so and it ended up being that like I think it was because Brad had so many signs around town for the mayor that they just assumed that Dean, they saw Dean on the thing and they go, "You're Dean." I've seen no signs. Yeah.
Same last name.
Yeah, same last name. So.
But yeah, that was the one thing. Realize though, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't pay attention, and it's not because they don't want. Oh, I think some of it is they don't want to nowadays because everything's so polarizing. Everybody gets sick of it. But then there's also people got busy lives.
Yes.
I mean, it takes work. Like I learned a ton just campaigning about the town, how everything works. Like a lot of stuff I had no idea. And then it's like,
We had
God,
to read.
this is how this works.
We had to read budgets. We had to read comprehensive plans. We had to
yeah.
read ordinances, resolutions. Yeah, you had to.
Not exactly exciting stuff.
Yeah, but you had to be educated and know what you were talking about when you're going into those things. But do you have a primary? No.
I do not have a
No,
primary.
does your
I'm
opponent?
just in the general.
Your opponent have a primary?
No, he actually has not had an opponent, I believe, since 2014.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. See that? That's crazy. Yeah, I wish every race had an opponent every year.
Yeah, yeah. And in my opinion, it really should be that way. And I reached out to him before I announced my candidacy. Yeah. I reached out to him to let him know, just out of respect. And we sat down, we had coffee, and he did express to me that, he was excited that there was finally someone running against him. He's like, I believe in the process, and, I'm grateful that there's someone that is actually stepping up and is going to run against me. So it was a really good meeting. He's a really nice guy. Yeah.
Oh, that's not a popular opinion as far as I've been hearing. That's, so most of the incumbents would rather keep their money and save their money and save their effort.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have any choice, because I'm coming. So he has to.
That has to work.
He has to work, but he's a very nice guy. And again, I reached out of respect. He's been in that office for 23 years. This is his 24th year.
It's too long.
It is too long in my opinion. I believe I am definitely for term limits.
Yes.
But he has served the community for a long time, and it's not an easy thing to do. Like you said, it takes a lot of courage to stand up. And so regardless of how horrible I believe his policy to be, I respect the fact that he did it and that he served the constituents that I am now looking to serve. And so I have a lot of respect for him with regard to that.
Yeah.
That's a long time out, man. Term limits, I agree. It's like two full-year terms. Like, they should just match what the president has.
He reps it 2 years. And so
2 years is tough, too, because now that you're in it, right, it's like 2 years. It's like after the first year, you're already campaigning again. It's like, campaign takes a lot of day-to-day stuff away that you would be working on.
Well, no one has to worry about me being there for 24 years. That will not happen. that will not happen.
I don't blame you.
I promise.
So we haven't had many high-ranking Democrats on. We've had a lot of Democratic candidates on. We've had some, I think, maybe that were incumbents previously, and then are coming back for a different position. Or we had Joe Solomon. He's a rep in
AG.
he's going for AG, but he's a rep in Warwick now.
He's a good guy.
But we have had some. We've had the minority leader on both the House and the Senate, Chippendale and Daylight Cruz. And one of the things I always ask them, right? I always say, the Democratic Party has so many tools at their disposal. They're way more organized. At least in Northern Rhode Island, northeastern Rhode Island, they're way more organized. I think the Republican Party, does not do as good a job. Do you have support from the Republican Party in Cranston? Is there a Republican Party that supports?
Oh, the Republican City Committee. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They have been incredibly supportive of me. John Colasante is the chair of the Cranston GOP, and he has been an incredible mentor to me. I look up to him, and I use him as a resource often. Anthony Melillo is another mentor that I have. He's in the city committee. I mean, on the school committee in Cranston, and he as well has been an incredible mentor for me. Marcus Stevenson, who is running for Ward 6 in Cranston. I believe this is like the second time that he's run. He may have run. Might be his third time. I'm not sure, but all of them have just been absolutely incredible. When I first kind of stepped into the scene, into politics, and I finally found the Republicans. They really welcomed me with open arms. They helped me to get my footing, and they've developed me, and they've encouraged me to run for office. Initially, I had considered a city council seat, but it didn't feel correct. It didn't feel like the right place for me. I've always, since I've thought about running, I've always known that the House was the place for me. And so, they encouraged me and they supported me. I also have tremendous support from Leader Chippendale, Minority Whip David Place, and Brian Newberry. So, I sought them out when I was thinking about running, and same thing. They have offered me nothing but support. I have them all on speed dial.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I have them all on speed dial, and I will reference, the leadership at the State House and the leadership in the city anytime I have to make a big decision or I'm unsure about where to turn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
That was one of the.
Yeah, we went to that Republican committee meeting here. It was like 15 people.
Yeah, and then they were at the time they were talking about joining with some neighboring towns because they couldn't get their membership up.
Low numbers.
And we're not, what are we? Cumberland's like a 55-45 city, probably 57-40 help me with the math, Gary. 42, 33?
60-40.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You went a little under.
Man. So it's not like it's a slam dunk here, but it seems like in the last 20 years it has been a slam dunk in Cumberland as far as party majority. But you know, we had just northwest of us, Woonsocket. You know, they
voted red.
They voted red in the last election, so for the first time in a long time. You know, so, and I'm not saying I'm a proponent of the Republican Party over the Democrat Party or one views over the other views. I'm just looking at the landscape and saying that it does seem like it's changing.
Well, it's people versus party, right? Like the league always pushes.
Yep.
People versus party. It's like, hey, you want people up there going to make the right decisions, like you said earlier, for the constituents that are voting for. And if it's like, you know, you can't just do what I feel has happened now, where it's just the boys club up there, boys and girls club, and it's just they all just vote no matter what. It's like whether or not their opinion is differing, everybody fears this retaliation. Like, oh, my office is going to end up in the basement if I don't vote for this thing. It's like, you know.
I'm not going to get anything done on my committee, or I'm going to be taken off the committee or something like that.
And it shouldn't be that way. But it's like, you also have to have the thought, well, I don't care if you put me in the outhouse. It's like, you know, I'm still going to vote the way I should vote.
Yeah.
That's what Joe Solomon had said, that, you know, that he voted the wrong way and they immediately took him off a committee. So when he voted the wrong way, immediately.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about that being a Republican. You probably. You know.
That's a strategizing to hold them for a week, though, because Chippendale tells it that you have to pick your spots, right? And you have to be very surgical in deciding when you want to speak up and when you want to just lay back or work together as a group to try to swing a vote one way or the other, you know, kind of thing. So
and there should be some stuff on there that's easy, right? Like this whole budget thing. It's like $15 billion budget. We got twice the budget of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And you go to New Hampshire and their roads are spotless, clean.
Ridiculous.
And it's like, what are we spending this money on? Because I started going through some.
well, we're going to have a show.
There's a lot of garbage on that. Yeah.
Because
If you look at the amount of, what do you call them? Nonprofit organizations, and the amount we fund out of state. And I'm like, why are we sending $300,000 to this place in Pennsylvania?
What are they producing?
Yeah, exactly.
What are they producing?
So one of them was like a veterans organization. The other one was like a, you know, for needy kids. But I'm like, why are we,
veterans and needy kids in an island.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Why are we worried about everybody else's? It's like we got enough in our own state, and it's like $15 billion. Can you imagine if you were spending that money properly, what you could actually do with it on the right way for an island? Because I mean, you know, we got bridges falling apart. We got a toll booth that's ready to go in for another that somehow 5 years later cost another $20 million to get operational. I'm like, who bought that system? Should last longer. It should last longer than 5 years before you spend that kind of money on it. But
yeah, and I feel like budgets like this are passed, like you said, because people don't really know or understand what's going on, and they don't really understand how the budget actually affects them, or even where the funding from the budgets come from. Yeah, you know. So I do some financial literacy, and I have found from a lot of the adults that I have taught that a lot of people are completely even unaware that the government funds comes from taxes. They don't know that. And it's not anyone's fault. I in my opinion, it's intentionally not taught unless you seek it out for these reasons. And so when you have conversations with people and you explain where that money comes from and how it's going to affect them if something like this is passed, then they're like, oh my God, like, why are we doing this? But a lot of people just do not have the information that has not been provided to them.
I 100% agree, because it's like the thing that drives me nuts every election is the referendums at the end.
oh gosh,
And they always all pass. And I'm like, then people bitch about their taxes going up. And I'm like, well, you just spent $150 million on this stuff, and I'm like, what do you think where do you think that money comes from?
Well, they're not thinking, because again, they were never taught. You know, they're not thinking about they're not thinking about the implementation of how you take an idea and turn it into reality. You know, and all of these ideas sound really, really good on paper. I can support a lot of the ideas in theory. You know, when I say, you know, I don't agree with this or I'm not going to cut into it, it is because the implementation of the process in order to get to that end goal is going going to have a net negative on the constituent. And a lot of people do not understand that process enough to have an informed opinion on how it is that they feel about whatever the topic is. And this even goes back to what I was saying earlier about, you have the far right and the far left that is being used in the media to elicit these emotional responses from people. And so you take the idea and you get the population emotional about it, because now you can navigate their behavior for them to vote on something like this, where you're going to send, $100,000 to an organization that someone owns outside of the state, and the constituency has no idea that they paid for that. And so education is a huge part of just who I am in general, and it's a huge part of my campaign and how I intend to lead, to make people aware of how these processes work. I don't care. My intention is not to tell people how to vote or to tell people what to think, because I am confident enough in my ability to explain the process to someone from beginning to end that I am confident that they'll be able to make an informed decision on their own, regardless of how I feel about it.
100%. Yeah. Once you give them the information, they actually understand it.
Correct. That
And
they
it's
can,
like,
then they can do
wait
it
a minute.
themselves. Then they can do it themselves.
If I vote for this, my taxes are going to go up another 5%. Like, oh, hold
Sure
on.
isn't. This is why-
Maybe we don't need that right now. And you're right. It's 100%. It's like you run a business. It's like if I ran my business in a negative every year, I wouldn't be in business very long, would I? It's like, and we seem to do it every year. And I'm like, how do you take that much money and just squander it
Correct.
to the extent where it's like, oh, we just need to add another $1 billion up there. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
And the population hasn't really grown. It's probably shrunk in the last 10 years, to be honest with you. Same million people we had, but that budget keeps going up, $1 billion over a year in the last 5 years.
And it's hurting the Rhode Islanders, it's hurting them. And so, like I said, it felt like the correct thing to do.
Yeah.
That I understand these processes, and my intention is to get the information to as many people as I can, because that information will make a difference, not me.
Yeah. So you still have support from the candidate you worked for, the Democrat candidate, or?
Oh yes, of course, of course. She's on speed dial too. I got everybody on speed dial. I'm winning this seat.
She's probably pumped you took the plunge.
She's so proud of me, because so she, when I was working on her campaign, and we became great friends. And she was really one of the first people that was really encouraging me, like, you're ready for this, like, you got it, like, you have to get your confidence up, but you got it. And she started really encouraging me, you need to go and find your people, you need to go and find Republicans. And she she would guide me, go out and find the Republicans, start talking to them, you know what I mean, find your people, and just take the plunge. So I really owe a lot of what I've become to her.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Have you been doing door to door in your district?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you getting many open doors, or?
Yeah.
No, we did it. It was like 10%.
Yeah, I am. And the response has really been wonderful in my area, because people, they don't know the incumbent. The majority of the people that I've met, they don't know who he is. And they're excited to have someone running. I think I'm able to articulate my ideas in a way that is not frightening. And so my area of Cranston is more traditionally blue. It's one of the bluest areas of Cranston. I think that's a reason why a lot of people tried to discourage me from running for the seat, people have tried to discourage me from running as a Republican. But like I said, before this, I would never ever. I don't believe in lying. I would never lie to someone who I'm asking to vote for me. The very first thing that I present to them is inauthenticity. Absolutely not. But again, I'm confident enough in my ability to articulate my ideas to people that I felt confident to run as a Republican, and I'm being received very, very well by people of all different parties.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That is great. That's good stuff.
What's the biggest issue that they say as far as what a state rep could help Cranston with?
So what I'm finding is that a lot of the people in my district, they don't understand the differences between the different offices. So I do spend quite a bit of time explaining the difference of a federal offices versus state offices, because, you know, as soon as people ask, you know, what party are you? And I say Republican, they say, well, I hate Trump. And I'm like, well, that has nothing to do with what I am running for. And so I spend a lot of time that's probably the biggest thing that I spend time talking about to people, is the differentiation between federal and state races. Then the next thing that comes up is affordability. Affordability, which is what I'm running on. Yeah, and that's typically where I am able, you know, to convert someone into a voter, is on the affordability issues.
Did your opponent, and one of the biggest things we have here in Cumberland that gets the most attention is the electric bills.
Yes, that's it.
Did your opponent vote for the initiatives
I
that
sponsored all of them.
Yeah.
Sponsored and co-sponsored them. And so that is definitely a part of the conversation, especially when people are concerned about me, you know, representing the Republican Party, is, you know, these energy bills. I bring up the energy bills and I say, you know, our ideology, clearly, you know, there are some mismatches here, but nothing that a state representative is going to do, or at least none of my intentions are going to touch on any ideology whatsoever. I'm here to represent all of the people of Cranston, and we all get these energy bills, and this is something that my office affects. So regardless of your ideology or mine, like, I'm honestly not even, I don't care about anyone's ideology in my district. I'm here to represent everyone, and nothing that I do at the State House is going to affect any of those things. And so, you know, I tell them, you know, I understand that you may have some emotions towards the word Republican, but I'm here to talk to you about all of these things that we have in common, and I can show you that my opponent has had ample time to show that he is going to bring costs down for people, and he hasn't done that. So I may not be the perfect candidate for you, but I'm the best candidate for you, because right now you only have two options. I may not be the perfect candidate, but I am the best, and you are more than welcome to put someone up against me in a couple of years if you want to run on ideology. That is the system that we have in place. We have to do this again in 2 years. You're more than welcome to run against me, but let me get in there and lower some of these bills first.
And I tell you, like,
It's 30%. It's like 30% right off the cuff on your bill you get rid of if you get rid of the government garbage.
So I'll tell you, when I built my house, I put all of it in, geothermal, everything, and I had a really low bill right up until they raised the electric prices.
Yeah.
And I'm all about saving the world, you know, right up until you're gonna put me in the street because I can't afford, because I can't afford my you know, I can't afford to pay my bills anymore because you've increased the bills, and we all know it's not working.
It's not working.
We all know it's not working.
It's not working. Sustainable.
So fix it. You know what I mean? I mean, if you passed it with a signature, you can repeal it with a signature. Go back in and fix it. But they're not. Instead, we went to a meeting at the library here in Cumberland. Yeah. Where the same people that passed it were there with, of course, the power company, your representatives. And they were, and they, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm sorry, I'm here about, you know, I know everyone's upset about the affordability. Let me turn it over to the power company to give you, you know, to give you excuses about why this is happening. And then it was like, and then you know, they're like, you know, they come up with all the euphemisms and they spin it, and you know, and it's like at the end of the day.
And that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's wrong. They're lying to the constituency. They're lying to the constituency. And again, this is why I have felt that I am obligated to run for office, because I understand everything that they're saying. And I'm going to translate it to you so you can understand it too, because we are all affected by this. And a lot of the people that I have encountered on the doors or on social media, they're all angry at the energy company. And I'm angry at the energy company too. But the thing that they don't know is that all of this is state legislation. This is state legislation that was passed by the General Assembly. And if you want any change, we have to start there.
Yeah, they're allowed to get away with it.
Go and appeal it. And here's the problem. Nobody's going to stand up and say and get on the bully pulpit and scream at their own party and say, hey, we screwed this up. We have to admit we screwed it up. Let's repeal it, because they all go along, even if the excuses, and we talked to a lot of politicians on both sides. The excuse is, well, we don't have enough votes, so I have to vote for it because I can't be the only one who doesn't vote for it, and I can't lose the vote. You know, but that's why we're in the situation we're in. It didn't work. Go back in and repeal it.
100%.
And if you come up with a better solution that doesn't cost people as much, then do that.
But instead, you get what just happened, where recently we just found out, well, we're getting another 15%.
Yeah.
Hike.
I think it's
I'm like,
21.
I'm like, how do you, 31, is that what it is?
I think it's 21.
How do you look at your constituents and say, yeah, I know, we're going to go in there and save you all this money. We're going to save the electric, and then we're going to increase it 21%. It's like that's talking out of both sides of your mouth.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and I know that there is a bill in, and my opponent, I believe, is a co-sponsor for this bill as well. But in my opinion, it is just a bill that is intended to pacify the constituency, to get them to continue to support this initiative that is not working. So we were given a certain time frame. I don't remember the exact dates, to be fully self-sustainable energy, the green energy by a certain year. I don't remember what the year was. And so now everything is so unaffordable for many different reasons I'm more than happy to talk about. But they've submitted legislation, as far as I'm aware, to push that date out, to kind of try to create a cushion for it. But again, when you start to translate everything down from idea to implementation, it's not going to actually affect anything in a way that's significant enough that the constituency is going to feel it, because there are so many other factors that are raising these bills and raising all of these delivery fees, that is just something that, in my opinion, was introduced to trick the constituency into thinking that the people who have done this actually care and are working towards a solution, so that way we can trick them into continue to support this legislation.
Yeah, the only solution is bring the bills lower. That's the only solution.
We have to change legislation.
No, it's already in there. The legislation has to change.
It's like the stupidity. Like that, I went fishing last weekend, and I had to drive by those 60 stupid windmills that they got out there. And I'm like, look, half of them aren't even turning. And I'm like, you can't tell me it's cost effective to run an electric cable 30 miles offshore and put this monstrosity of a fan out there. That payback is not going to be 3 years.
Well, those are your delivery fees. Did you know that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The delivery fees, that does come from that, because we're paying for the cost of all of the infrastructure on top of lobbying fees and just other additional fees. And so they are allowed to pass that down to the consumer in the form of a delivery fee. And that's not even touching on the conversation of how many birds these huge fans are massacring, and so
whales that are washing up with
so I think the conversation that is had by the people that support this only focuses on the positive theology of what these can do in the future for our great grandchildren, maybe. But they don't talk about, or at least I haven't seen much talk about the negatives. And any time that there's a conversation about anything that's going to affect the general population, you need to weigh the pros and the cons.
Well, you do. And it's, it just...
Especially when everything is more expensive. The way I look at it, if that was the only thing, if your power work, everything, groceries were lower, and rent was lower, and gas was lower, and oil was lower. But your electric bill's 30% more, but everything is
more expensive, and that is why we touched on it earlier. City council, I didn't feel was the correct position for me, but the reason why I have always felt that if I run for office, I was going to run to be a House representative, is because a House representative, you can submit as much legislation as you want. Doesn't mean it's going to become law, obviously, but you can submit as many pieces as you want, and then they're kind of like up for grabs for the senators to support it. And so I am a think tank, and I can come up with many different ideas. And so I believe the House truly is the voice of the people, and my goal is to meet as many people in my district as I can, because I know that I can take the concerns of the people in my district, and I can formulate many different ideas of how we can implement that in the General Assembly. So I feel like that is where I should be, because like you said, many different places that these fees are coming from. Another thing that I don't know a lot of people are aware of is that the state of Rhode Island is in litigation, has been for quite some time, with the American Truckers Association. And so everything that comes into this state is going to be more expensive, because we are considered to be volatile, and so this is not because of anything coming out of DC. Like my constituents, they believe that this is all issues that we have within the state of Rhode Island.
Yeah, 100%. I went through that. I used to have a small trucking company.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and we did a lot of short haul stuff. It was all Rhode Island, Mass, Connecticut deliveries. But the problem is, I got to go over that border 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 times a day.
Exactly.
And it's like I did the math.
Cumberland, we're right on the corner.
Right on the edge.
Massachusetts.
And so it's like, I did the quick math on the trucks, and so I can add another like $20,000 a year per truck.
Yep.
And I'm like, when you're only doing a $500-600 load, You're gonna factor that into your cost. It's
Exactly.
Like, well,
And
somebody else
people
go.
are completely unaware of that. If you're a small business owner, you have to get supplies into the state. They're going to be more expensive for that. And when tariffs were in the conversation, I spoke a lot about tariffs and how they work. And a lot of people were so upset about the tariffs, and they were blaming all of these rising costs on the tariffs, and they had no idea that the state of because it would be across the board. This issue, and Rhode Island is suffering far more than many other states, but the tariffs is federal. That's across the board. It is because of legislation and things like this, American Truckers Association litigation that are rising the cost inside of the state of Rhode Island. And I really want the people in my district to be aware of all of these different things, so that way together we can tackle all of these things all at once, instead of focusing on the things that are in the media that are not actually affecting what's coming out of your wallet.
Yeah, I was witness to a conversation between a Democratic state rep and a constituent, where the only question he asked was, "Did you vote for the truck tolls?" And the guy said, "Oh, I don't remember." But it was a loaded question, because the guy who asked the question knew. He's like, "Yeah, you did. You lost my vote." He's like, "Well, I'm not going to vote for it next time." He was like, "Too late. You already passed it. I vote for it."
Yeah. So that's something that needs to be fixed. It's something that needs to be fixed. People are suffering, and as a small business owner, I've struggled with my businesses up and down. I've lost business in the past, and it's not an easy thing to do, and we need to make it easier for people to start businesses. We need to incentivize people in this state to start businesses, and we have to give them the tools to be successful, and some of those tools are going to be amending some of this legislation in their favor.
Yeah, you do. You start repealing stuff. There's too much out there now.
Yep.
It makes it so difficult. It's like you get bogged down doing more paperwork garbage than I should. It's like I was trying to run the business. Which, speaking of, notary business.
Yeah.
So do you train people to be notaries?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I train people who are already notaries in different specific niches. So the Secretary of State website, the Secretary of State office, they handle the initial notary training, but it's not an extensive training. It's kind of just like, this is what you need to know to get going. But there's ton of opportunity in the notary space. There are many different niches in notary, and so when I started my notary business, had no idea how any of it worked, and I had to learn all completely on my own. Me and my friend Delara found each other early on in both of our notary businesses, and the two of us had to just learn by error,
When you're by fire, aren't you?
Yeah. And so I wanted to be able to provide resource where I wish I had it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how many people do you train a year, do you think?
I wouldn't know how many people I train per year, because a lot of people come in. I mean, I wouldn't say that many. I'd say maybe 50 or less people come to me per year. But notary is kind of one of those things that people will go online and they'll say, oh, okay, this looks good. And then they'll start it, and then they'll realize that it's more work than they originally anticipated it was going to be. And, they kind of fall off. I'm just not a quitter. So I stuck with it. So I have people that come to me often for help getting off the ground or starting, something new. But there have only been a handful of people that have continued on with it and then now have their own businesses. So like I said, I'd say maybe 50 or less people will come to me in a year. I just launched a project recently with some friends of mine who own different notary businesses. Alara was one of them, and then I have two other friends. And so we've worked to actually structure a notary training program. So that will change, because initially I was just doing it out of the kindness of my heart, offering training to people where I didn't have it. But it got to a point, and I think most business owners get to a point where you're like, this is a service that I'm providing, and I need to have this be a part of my business, and I can no longer just give my resources away for free. And so I kind of crossed that hill maybe 6 months or so ago. So we're now structuring, it's called Notary Chapter Network, to offer mentorship and actually training to people, and to not just kind of be being nice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's good stuff. Was it, you had a website around?
Yeah. It's notarychapternetwork.com is for that project. And then my website is passgrovegroup.com, and my notary business is on there, as well as my other DBAs.
You always have people calling to get things notarized too, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like everything these days requires a notary now.
Everything requires a notary.
Every time you're signing
Everything
something,
requires
it's
a
like,
notary.
yeah. So I can see it.
Your election bell, Harry. Right, you don't have to.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
know?
Yeah, that happened during COVID.
Is that when that
That
happened?
that happened during COVID, and that was when my notary business happened. Yeah.
Okay. So it makes sense.
So that must have been kind of a personal thing to you. There was I don't remember the names of the people, but I remember it was East Providence school committee member
Yes.
that just put her
Yeah.
signature.
The signature sheet.
Yeah,
I did see that.
and her right at her
I did
front
see
porch.
that. That was a foolish mistake.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
Like,
just
wait a
like just like I've done before. That was a comment. It's like, oh god,
Wait a minute.
we're going to dig in that hole deeper.
So yeah, I had to get my signatures, and I help other people get their signatures, and
Yeah.
right on the bottom it says you had to notarize it. So there, and it's like, and then I didn't get in trouble, but I got a talking to when I brought the paper into the town hall, and while the woman went to get her stamp, I signed it, and she came back. She goes, I needed to witness that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, now I need to see your license to make sure the signatures match. So I showed her my license, but I signed it right there. I was like, oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
So to just leave it on the front porch. Yeah, yeah.
I
Worst,
mean,
worst part is no accountability in that situation.
To be fair, I have learned through my experience as a notary that a lot of people don't really know what the purpose of a notary is. They're like, I just have to get this notarized. It's simple. I had to turn down so many notarizations for many different reasons. And the people tried to educate me on why I can just notarize this because it's just easy and they just need it notarized. And so a lot of people don't even understand the purpose of a notary. So that leaves for room for error.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It leaves for room for error.
I can see that. You bring it in already signed. It's like, hey, can you just notarize this for me?
Yeah, yeah, and I've had to explain hundreds of times the purpose
Like, no.
of a notary because people they don't get it. It's like, hey, get this notarized, and they're like, okay,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah,
But sometimes you get a paper that you're like, really? I have to get this notarized?
Yeah.
Like I think the last thing that was just odd was my kid wanted to go to ski club at the high school or something, and I'm like, oh no, I already take this back. But wait a
Can I
minute.
get it notarized?
Yeah, I think I don't quote me on that, but I think that was
Something like that.
something trivial like that. Like,
I know it falls back to liability because everything's liability these days.
I have to notarize this for you and give you a check. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like if I'm giving you a check, you can pretty much be sure that I agree with the fact that that my kid's going to take his driving test or whatever. Like,
Right.
Oh, that was another thing. Yeah, I was using somebody's car, and I had to get the thing notarized saying that I could use the car for his driving
Make sure you didn't steal it.
Make sure I didn't do it. Yeah. Like, hey.
DNV stuff I have to turn away pretty often because a lot of them are, agreement. Someone bought something, someone sold something. You need both parties to be present for a notarization. So you'll have the person who bought it, but the seller's in, East Belgium. And I'll tell them, I can notarize this signature for you. I can't do the other one. We can set something up and try to do an online notarization, if they'll accept an online notarization. I can't.
So they do it online. You can do an online notary.
Yeah, but not every institution will accept online notarizations. Yeah, I believe how that came to be in the state of Rhode Island was also during COVID. I believe there was an executive order that allowed for it because we didn't have them prior to that.
You're kind of losing Gary. Online, Gary. That's www. That's the word. That's the World Wide Web. World Wide Web, Gary. It's the World Wide Web. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
.com.
It's not universally accepted. So, I always just tell people before you pay to have this done, just check with the institution and make sure that they will accept a remote notarization before we try to execute it.
Nice. Awesome. So, the campaign, I want to get back to that.
Oh, yeah.
So how many, I think every senatorial district has like 20,000. Is that the same? No, it's got to be less with a house.
For us, yeah, I believe it's between 12 and 14,000. Yeah.
So how does that equate to households? That's probably like what?
Half.
It's different. It's different because there are different amount of voters in each household. Yeah, and I'm targeting in my district different demographics. So I have different demographics. You cut all different lists for, the different days that you're going to go out and different people. So I couldn't remember if I tried how many households are in my district. I know that there's around 12,000, a little over that, voters in my district, but the households I'm not sure.
Yeah, we had 27,000 voters, and I think they ended up being like 12 or 13,000 households.
Yeah, it was.
So it was correct.
It's about half-ish.
Like I say, it's tough to hit all those houses.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
That's one thing people don't understand is that running for a position is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
a lot of
so
work.
I give the politicians credit for that one because it's no walk in the park.
No.
So have you been hitting the pavement a lot? Have you been out there quite a bit?
I haven't been out as much as I wanted to over the past couple of weeks. I have volunteers that do help me. But I just do so much, I do so many things. And so having this campaign, the rest of my life has kind of been settling itself around the campaign. And so I've been kind of focusing on trying to just keep everything afloat, if I'm honest, because the campaign has become the center of gravity in my life. It's affected every other aspect of my life, So I'm doing my best to get out there personally as much as I can. But at the same time, I have so many other things,
life gets in the way a little bit.
Life is lifing, but we're getting through. Yeah, we're getting through.
Yeah, but it is definitely a lot of work. I remember that. We used to do Tuesday night meetings every Tuesday. And it was like, oh. And the good thing is we had 10 of us. So there was a lot of help, cross board help.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know how, a lot of people didn't have a lot of volunteers. We realized how much you need the volunteers. That's when we met Gary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Gary came out of the woodwork. I came to my office one day and there was a handwritten letter on my desk. I'm like, who the hell writes handwritten letters anymore?
I've had a ton of support.
They make fun of me, old school.
No, that's okay. I'm old school too.
We met him. So me and Jay met him over at Phantom Farms. And he came in with a box.
Yeah.
Already had signs made up, already had advertisers made up, marketing stuff. And I'm like, he had every Valley Breeze article for the last 10 years. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, hired.
Nice. Yeah, I love handwriting. So when I was going out for my signatures, I targeted Republican households. I was like, this is gonna be the easiest thing for me to do if I just go to Republican households. And so I had postcards, and anytime someone didn't answer the door, I would write them a letter. My name is Jessica. Yep, sorry I missed you. I'm running as Republican. I could really, I'd really appreciate your signature to get me on the ballot. And I just started leaving those, and so I started getting phone calls on my phone number. I left my phone number. Here's my cell phone. Please call me if you can help me out. And so I just started getting phone. Hey, missed you. Hey, I was in the yard. Turn around, come back. And so
That's a great idea.
yeah, and so I went back and I was able to collect all of my signatures that way with the handwritten letters.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, people actually been thinking about
People actually called you. People actually
A
called.
lot of people called me back
Really?
because a lot of people weren't answering the doors. You experienced that at the door.
People sitting watching their TV, look over, turn around, and work.
And then turn around. Exactly. But what happens to them in my district is they get the card and they say, "Oh, a Republican. We gotta call her right away. Get her back." Yeah.
An endangered species.
Well, the problem is the guy sitting on the couch. He's the guy you need to talk to because he's the guy probably not paying attention. And it's like, that was the most frustrating part.
Yeah. Those postcards woke them right up, and I got on the
that's
ballot.
great. That's awesome. I didn't even think of that. That would have been a good idea, putting a personal number on there.
Personal phone number. I have to, because running as a Republican in such a blue area, those words have been weaponized against people. It's you say Democrat, you say Republican, and people instantly are going to go into a script and they're going to have an emotional response to that word. Doesn't matter which side of the aisle that you're on. And so in my district, it is imperative that I meet as many people as I can, because as soon as I start talking to them, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter once I start talking to them. So when they just see that word, that people are going to view me as a threat, and it is not their fault. They were conditioned to respond that way, in my opinion. I have to meet people. I have to. You can have my phone number, my address. You can have anything that you want. Please come talk to me. I'm trying to help you. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a good idea. I should have thought of that. Okay, we're way on that one.
I wanted you like the hot dog safari. That's what I wanted. There's stuff like that, but died by ill.
Hot dog safari.
What are you talking about?
What is a hot dog safari?
Lord.
It's a famous name associated with that.
A hot dog safari? What is a hot dog safari?
Eddie Andelman, remember him from the Red Sox? Eddie Andelman? Every year he ran a hot dog safari. Thousands of people would come out to get free hot dogs.
Really?
Thousands. And hot dogs are like a quarter.
Yeah, cheap.
Yeah, so you can get...
I don't know who your hot dog guy is, Gary. They're not a quarter.
Did you hear about those trucking tolls?
That's something else I thought of today. Why does the federal government take the taxes off of the trucking fuels? So that probably one of the biggest reasons why everybody's paying more is because
This only is not
inside of it. Because everything has to go on the road, pretty much, right?
It's a pain because
I think
you
it's
pay it by state.
Yeah, it's mostly state tax.
So literally which is state tax. Yeah. When my truck crosses border from Rhode Island to Mass, right? So the drivers get a log. They track how many miles in each state. And then I have a company that does it now. But it's like then you submit all these miles in the state, and depending on where the state fuel tax is, you pay based on those miles in the state.
But isn't it collected from the pump price? No, that's what I thought.
So
Well, no, I get fuel.
Oh, sorry. Pete Hegseth did that. So I'm a
get
veteran,
credit-
so
you
I
get
can go around.
credits back.
I can go on the Newport Navy base.
Right.
And Pete Hegseth announced that he was gonna eliminate the federal tax per gallon for on the military bases. And I was like, oh my God, gas is gonna be so cheap. It was like 18 cents. It's like wasn't worth
It's
it.
the states.
Well, yeah, it's a state tax.
That's why California is like 7.5 because their state tax is huge on it.
But explain me what you would say.
18, so that
since you have your own places to put
18.4 cents.
Well, I have an overnight, so I had an overnight delivery service, so they'd come fuel the trucks out the night before. So I get taxed based on the Rhode Island rate. But if I go to a state that's cheaper, so I would get like a 2 cent per mile credit or whatever it is. Because I was only getting, those trucks only get like 3 to 4 miles a gallon.
Holy.
Oh yeah. So it's like, you would actually get some credits, depending on what state you go to. So, but otherwise you pay the difference. So it kind of, in the end, there's just a calculation on the end. It's a table you fill out. It's every quarter.
Taxes, but monthly.
Oh yeah.
You
It's all.
have to reconcile or a checkbook or something like that. You have to reconcile.
Oh yeah, for some of these trucks, because I'd be driving to Florida. I'd be driving to Florida, and I'd have to track every freaking state I go
Oh
through.
my God.
So it's like, the driver's got to be on top of it. Now they have those ELD devices that you hook onto trucks, and they kind of track some of that stuff for you. So it's not as manual as it used to be. Because literally, my guy would hand me a sheet, and there's 10 states he drove through, and miles in each state. And he'd have
That
to,
sounds awful.
oh, it was awful. Yeah. But those are some of the regulations that you talk about that, like that just made it tougher for the business to do business. And because they just put it into place for brokers now. So like, if I hired a owner-operator, which is a driver that went out, bought his own truck, bought his own trailer to make his own deliveries. Let's say he's got 2 or 3 other guys working for him. And I'm just brokering loads because I have access to the business, right? The feds just put it out, and it's because of all this, legal immigration with them driving trucks without licenses and everything else. That's why I wanted the place. Now, I'm responsible for checking this guy's business and all of his drivers.
I see.
So it's like, now I got to do the work that he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
It's like, why don't you just hold him accountable?
Contract with the, what would you call him, an owner?
Owner-operator.
Owner operator, yeah, why contract with one if you have to show that digital?
So I'm like, isn't that his job? Go after him on it. Why am I doing the work that he's supposed to be doing? And it's like, those are the regulation type things you put in there. But yeah, everything's overregulated.
Well, that's the state. At the state level, there's tons of regulations. I mean, not even talking about taxes.
No, we have a local. Not to interrupt you, Gary, but I figure I'm due a couple. You interrupt me. That's fine. I'm due, so I just check this one off the mark. But anyway, So there was a article that came out. Two of our local candidates for rep, Brandon Vos and Jim McLaughlin. They had an article, and one of the things Brandon Vos said in his article was, I've only been in there a short amount of time. I have passed more bills than anybody in the time I've been. I'm like, that's not an accomplishment.
No,
that's more regulation. It's
more regulation.
You should be like, I improved the bill, or I got rid of this obsolete bill, or I combined these bills, or I reformed this bill. But not I passed more bills than anybody else. I get it. They're called lawmakers. I get it, but we don't need to just make laws for the sake of making laws.
But those things are important to those people. I mean, I think that it's important to understand that different people think and process things differently. This is also something that I learned when I was working with the Democrat candidate who served in Providence. And, you have people who want to live in a world where they can produce for themselves, where where they're the ones that are in control, where they're the ones that can kind of influence how things work in their life. You have that one group of people, but then you have another group of people who they want to live in a world where there is less of that comes from them, and I'm sure it's for many different reasons, and I'm sure that they're all relevant. But some people want to have less responsibility in their lives, and that's just the society that they want to live in. And so I think where we make error in these conversations is assuming that everyone has the thought process to live in the society that we want to live in. And I think this is a perfect example of that. So you're thinking of it as, everybody wants there to be less regulation. Well, that's not the case. There are some people who favor more regulation because in a perfect world for them, there are more things that are outside of their control. Again, for many different reasons, and who are we to judge? So I think that we have, right now with legislation and with the way that Rhode Island is being led, and it's not talked about, obviously, I don't even think a lot of people realize this, but you have people that the end goal for them are two completely different formats, and they're trying to get each other to, buy into the format that works for them, and we need to recognize that we are very different.
Yeah, no, I agree. My issue, like we talked about earlier, one of the reasons I ran for school committee was because there were policy violations that caused my son to be harmed. Since I've been on the school committee, I now realize, and I've been told point blank, we have hundreds of Cumberland School Committee policies, whether they're in the handbook or whether they're actual policies spelled out. Our superintendent says he cannot train. There are so many policies, he cannot train all the teachers. He doesn't have enough time and enough money to train all the teachers on all the policies. So they're not all followed. And when they violate a policy, they'll hang them with it. You violate this policy. It's not, but they don't know the policy, and they don't mandate that they're trained on the policy because there are just too many. So what I was saying was, let's prioritize the policies. But if there are too many policies to train the people,
and execute,
then we've got too many. I agree.
Too many.
So being that I was a military guy, I was in the Army for 28 years. Everything was a regulation. Everything was in black and white, and it was great because there was no question. You read the regulation, and the regulation says this is how you're going to do this, and this is how you're going to do that, and we had to read the regulation. There was no option. You had to read the regulation, and if you violated the regulation, you were in trouble and you were held accountable. But the regulation, we didn't make new regulations on the same thing just to make new regulations. We altered the regulation, or we updated the regulation, but we didn't. Nobody came in and said, well, this M16 rifle regulation is not great. I'm going to do another one. But leave that one in place, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll do another one the next day, and we'll leave that one in place. And now you're reading 16 different regulations, and I think that's the problem we have is there's so many. Like you talked about the opera request. Do you read the regulation for the?
It wasn't that long, but there were two things. I could have gotten a hold of her or gone to the AG, but you were right. This one, there would be a little slap in the face to wake them up.
It's not gonna be nothing, and the thing is they're gonna claim ignorance, and then somebody's gonna say, no, they're gonna say I didn't know. You only got 10 days to respond. Well, I didn't know, and the AG is gonna be like, well, they didn't know. You know what I mean?
No
And this is the third time they didn't know. You know, in a year. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the problem. Yeah. If there's no perfect example, the Right to Farm Act.
Yes.
I heard about that recently.
Yeah, there was a farm in Cumberland that had to sue the town, cost them $60,000 to put a riding rink up.
The horses.
The horses to put a riding rink up. The Right to Farm Act says the DEM is the regulatory body for farms in Rhode Island. The town has no say in it. The town held them up.
Yep.
And when they went to the DEM was like, what can we do? So
Yeah.
they had to sue the town to be able to build their riding rink. So it's
They're trying to limit the horses.
yeah, but if you have the regulation and nobody enforces it and nobody
Tried it.
You know what I mean? Like what is the regulation if nobody's enforcing it?
Oh, I agree. It's like there's where accountability comes into play. Like I feel like there's no accountability anywhere now. It's like
Yeah.
it's just like they're putting in this inspector general, but you can't look at what we're doing, only what everybody else is doing. I'm like, who the hell doesn't see right through that? Like obviously they must be doing something wrong. Otherwise you wouldn't worry about it.
That was another thing that was in that article. They asked about the inspector general thing, and they were like, well, what was the answer? The answer was, well, there's so many bills that come through. I didn't have a chance. We had to do it quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, if it's not a perfect bill, fix it and stop it and do it next year.
Well, you know they don't read half those bills anyway. They get through.
Yeah.
Someone admitted that recently.
Oh, on the video. Yeah,
I don't remember.
on the video.
I think I know who it was, but I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
I don't want to misspeak. But yeah, someone admitted that recently.
Yeah, it's like how you vote on it then. If you haven't had a chance to read it, how do you vote on it? It's like don't just and you're right. They put 400 or 500 bills to the floor, and it's like unless you get time to read this damn thing. And nowadays you can put it in AI and at least get cliff notes on it.
If you get the right ones.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So I was gonna say, we're getting close, but we're not getting close. Not for your election. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I still got time. I'll be out there.
Yeah.
Three you got plenty of time, Aaron.
I got plenty of time.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, when you were saying, I wish I was out there more.
I do.
You don't have, but you have plenty of time to get out there.
I'm a high achiever.
Yeah.
It does amaze me though how many people like you said we got 28,000 voters in this town. In the primary, we got like 2,500. And it's like, man, that's part of the problem. I don't think half the people know what a primary is.
Yeah, there's not a lot of activity in the state. That's definitely an issue that I've seen, and it's really a part of, I guess what I'm running on is just trying to get people more engaged.
Yeah.
To get people more engaged. A lot of people have lost a lot of hope in things, and they feel like their input doesn't matter, but it really does. People's input matters, and for anyone that ever tells me, it's all set up, it's all an illusion, and I'm not going to do it, I say, well, let's just go on the idea that you are correct.
Yeah.
The more interaction that we have, the harder it is for the illusion to live. If we're not doing anything, it makes it easier for that illusion to stay alive. It makes it easier to believe. So if you believe that, this is an illusion, it's all set up and it's not real, let's just go with that. And you need to get more active. We need to get as many more people active as we can, so that way the illusion is no longer believable.
Yeah. And, you look at the races around the state, and a bunch of the guests that we've had here, some of them have lost races by less than a dozen votes.
Yeah.
Some of them have won. Jessica De La Cruz, what'd she say? Her first election, she won by 6 or 7 votes. Or
So Marie Hopkins, same thing. She won by a matter of votes. I think it was the same thing for Chris Papalowskis in Cranston. So those votes, they do matter. They do matter. The activity itself matters, not just the votes. The activity, you talk about things like these regulations not being followed and all the other issues that we're having in the state. If more people were involved in it, it would be more difficult to sweep these things under the rug.
Yep, agreed.
But and the problem, like you said, the problem is that, trying to motivate disillusioned people when how important their vote is. When you go to a household, of 6 or 7, registered voters, and they're disillusioned and nobody wants to go, you think to yourself, that could be the 6 or 7 voters that sways this election, that sends it one way or the other.
It could be, but I think we have to have realistic expectations. It took us a very long time to get to where we are. It's not going to be fixed in one election. It's not going to be fixed in 2 elections. And so those of us who are active and those of us who are aware, I feel like we have a responsibility to be consistent, because it's going to take probably the same amount of time for us to fix this as it did for us to get to where we are, and so it takes discipline, and we're all responsible for that. We all have children that are going to be growing up here, and they're going to inherit whatever we leave behind by our action and by our inaction. And so we just have to be consistent and have the expectation that it's going to be hard, it's going to take a long time, but that it'll be worth it.
Yeah, definitely. If they can afford to grow up here, it's just the first thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They passed that ADU thing, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to put an ADU in back so I can live in the backyard, and I can give my kids the other house. Yeah,
Everybody's gonna be living in trailers.
Oh yeah, like that thing they tried in Providence. What was that thing? What was that called? I forget.
I don't remember, but
Something or other village.
Yeah, and they were like the size of this table.
Pallet
Yeah,
village.
it was like a pallet something. Yeah,
When you get on 146.
Yeah.
It's when you come into.
it's like community bathroom. It was like the thing was. They called it a pallet village.
But you don't hear much about that. I don't believe it sold out.
Oh, it took forever to put this person in there in the first place.
I don't think anybody ever got in there. I think
They finally got in there, but I don't think if you're identified as a homeless person if you live there. I mean, it's maybe better than sleeping under the bridge.
Yeah.
But it's still that it's an admission that you're not making it. So people don't like to be identified in that way. So Jessica, on your website, I noticed that there were 3 under issues. When I clicked on issues, there were 3 things: affordability. You've talked a little bit about that. Education and helping businesses get open, like small businesses. So, like for the small business side of thing, you went down that path. So are you trying to figure out a way to let more people understand how to have a successful business from the beginning?
Not only the educational piece of helping people to understand the process, but the legislative piece of making people's dreams actually be able to turn into a reality. We talked a lot about the regulation that we have in the state, and it is incredibly difficult for someone to start a business, and a lot of people are deterred from starting businesses because of how difficult it is. A lot of people lose businesses and they just don't want to go through that process again. And I think it's important for our local economy that we are a place that not only can attract businesses from outside, but we can make people actually want to start businesses in the state. That way we can support our neighbors more and support our communities. And right now it just doesn't exist at the level that I think we can, small businesses, and it's all due to our legislation, in my opinion. So I want to support our small business owners in this state, and I want, more children to grow up and to become entrepreneurs and to not just feel that there's only one path to success. That is not true whatsoever, but we don't make it easy for entrepreneurs here.
No, do not.
Like to have an LLC, or you mean all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, all of those different things. It doesn't matter.
That's how you should. It's a price tag on it.
Everything.
Every time you want,
Everything.
right?
Everything.
Anything you need to, as a business guy too.
Yeah.
Break the check, Brad. We'll get you, but it is
for everything, and not a lot of people have the resources to do that, or to achieve it, or to be able to keep up with it. Business owners, when you start a business, the majority of the time you have no idea what you're doing. You just have this great idea, and maybe you're going through a manic episode and you say, I'm going to do it, and you don't have the funding to do it. And at the same time that you're trying to figure out the funding, now you're trying to figure out all of this regulation. It destroyed me the first time that I tried to do it, and it's been very difficult the second time, that I've tried to do it, and I'm grateful that I've been able to maintain it. It has not been easy. It's not been an easy road. It's still not to this day. And so, I want to contribute to changing that and making it easier for people. We need small businesses and we need large businesses. People are afraid of large businesses. We need them. And I mean, think about where Rhode Island could be if we made it easier for people to start a business, be successful, and then to grow into a large business in this state. Like it could completely change the landscape of the local economy. And right now, people are just not motivated to even try.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, because this is such a process. I mean, it's like, I'd even be an advocate for whoever starts a small business like your first year. Waive the state taxes for the first year. There's a lot of incentives you could probably give people in order to entice them to open up a small business. But it feels like this state just kind of shits all over small business.
Yeah, I
Brought
agree.
by first. But it's
make the regulations uniform from town to town. Like
that's your
so
side.
so the state of Rhode Island made the ADU regulations uniform, even though Cumberland voted against it, which is illegal. But they voted against the ADU regulations. But when I went, so I have an old barn from 1808 on the side of my house. It's dilapidated. It needs to come down. I have too much money to rehab it, and it's beyond that now. But years ago, when 5-6 years ago, I went to the town hall, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking at building a steel building where that barn was, for a garage, and all the guy was interested in is like, you're not going to use it for a business, are you? Well, no, but what? Why not? Well, why?
Yeah, why not?
Why couldn't I? Like, I can see if I was like,
Really?
I can see if I was going to build like a repair cars out there, and I had, 15 or 20 cars waiting to go in there. I get it. There's a town ordinance against that. I get that. But why are you so concerned whether or not I'm going to start a business in there? That you should be promoting that. Because if I have a business and I'm an LLC or an S corp or whatever, I'm going to be paying taxes on that business, which can only help the state and the town.
So you'll be hiring people from the town.
Jobs,
It's like,
giving them jobs.
Yeah. But yeah. So if we went to that the commission on small housing or housing affordability or whatever.
yes.
We met that guy, and the guy said the manufactured housing, it has a state stamp on it. If it has a state stamp on it, the town has to treat it like the state is the the legislative body for that house. Well, why can't we do that for businesses too? Ease the regulations on businesses and make it standard, through every across the towns.
Yep.
Your ordinances have to be
Simple.
business friendly.
Yeah.
Just like your ordinances have to be farm friendly. Your ordinances have to be business friendly, and they have to be followed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that the regulation that we have with regard to small businesses and entrepreneurship is really a tremendous failure for our children because, our children, we have incredibly talented people in every single community, and the education system, which is something else that, I'm running on is, education. It does not really cater to every learning type, and some kids are just brilliant and they're meant to be entrepreneurs, and we are not giving them the building blocks to success. And as the adults in the room, I feel like it's our responsibility to make sure that these children are set up for success in the way that the legislation is here. It's not setting them up for success. In the few that do end up, going into entrepreneurship, what are they going to do? They're going to take their businesses into another state, and they're not going to stay here because it's just too difficult to be prosperous, in this state. So not only for current business owners, but for future business owners, for our children, I feel that they should have the opportunity to be business owners. One of the things that I teach my students is that, you can, beautiful things about this country, you can monetize anything that you care about, any skill that you have or anything that you want to try just because you can monetize it. You have the freedom to figure out how to make that work. And in a state like Rhode Island, it just makes that vision more difficult. And I think that's a failure to our children.
Yeah, I agree. That's something that's got to start at the ground level too. Like, it should be in our schools. It drives me nuts all the time that we don't have a class that teaches day to day, like how to write a check, how to balance a checkbook.
I couldn't
What's
tell
a
you how
401k?
Everybody uses a checkbook more, Brad.
No, they're forcing me to do it with the camera.
But how to balance it, like how to. Oh yeah.
They're forcing me to use the checks. I hate the checks. But I couldn't tell you how many students that I've had that they have told me and their parents have told me that like my classes have literally changed their lives. And I've had students sitting in my classes after the classes were over, Miss Jessica, can you show me how to do this budget? Can you show me this? And so what's an LLC? It protects you. Like, they are interested in this stuff. They love it. And I couldn't tell. I have a meeting with one of my students. I just finished doing with my business past growth group. So I do financial education, literacy. I used to do it through homeschool co-op. And I've just had so many people reach out to me. I've been doing it maybe for 3-4 years or so. Reach out to me because they wanted their children to be able to participate in it. But I was always hosting through, another organization. So I was like, I got to figure this out. So I recently partnered with Sylvan Learning Center in Coventry, and they allow me to use their facility to teach my courses. And I just finished the first cohort independently as Pass Growth Group. And 3 of the students in my classes have all now started their own businesses, and I'm so proud of them. Yes, and I have a meeting with one of the students who he actually won the course. So my course is structured as a competition, because everything in life is a competition. Everything in life is a competition.
100%.
Whether you recognize it or not, everything is a competition, and the people who are going to be successful are the people that actively compete. And so I try to teach that to my students. So my class is set up competitive, and the person who ends up winning the course, I pay them. They get their first paycheck from Pass Grove Group.
Do they?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, they get their
That's
first
awesome.
paycheck. I'll show you the photo of that. I just got a photo from the winner of the course the other day from his mom, because he got his paycheck, so he's holding up his paycheck. Yeah, and he's the one that I have a consultation with, and we're gonna sit down, and I'm gonna help him, structure his business. And the parent from the other 2 who came in second place and third place in my classes told me that both of her children now have started executing a business plan for their businesses. Yeah, so it's very fulfilling. I did this work for a very long time for free, and this course that I offered through Sylvan is free. It is just a free resource that I am just offering to families in Rhode Island, because I just feel like it's that necessary, and it's something that I'm willing to donate my time to.
That's good. No participation awards.
No participation awards over here. No. But I have a couple of different ones, and the little boy who won this one, he was like, can I do this again? Can I do it again? And the kids, they love it. They love it, and they go home and they teach their parents, and that's really the impact that I want to make,
We
because
got to do another show. We did a juvenile financial literacy
I'll
show.
bring my
did.
students.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be a
I'll
good
bring my
idea.
student. And one of my bottlenecks with editing, so I was telling him before, I've had editing bottlenecks. So I use Peg TV Studio, great resource. If no one has heard of Peg TV Studio, they have multiple locations in the state. You can host your own TV show through Peg TV completely for free, and it'll go on the local news. You can choose what cities that you want it to air in, or if you want it to be statewide, and their funding is dependent on participation. So if you are out there and you're creative, yes, and you don't have the resources to start your own podcast, or I mean the studios are incredible. You can bring in your own props, you can bring your own things, you can set it up however it is that you want. It is a completely free resource that is provided by the state of Rhode Island. So anybody viewing this, if you want to get on camera and you don't have the resources, reach out to Peg TV Studios. Tell them just because of you. But yeah, they'll get their funding. But I had on local access TV, the students who completed my courses then had the ability to participate in a junior finance show, where
No
they
kidding.
created it. Yeah, and we went through all the co-op. So you can actually take the equipment from the studio if you're trained on it, and then you can bring it anywhere and film. So we had segments that we were filming inside the co-op and segments that we were filming in the studio. My students wrote the scripts. They had learned all of the material from my courses. They created everything, and we were filming this junior finance show, and I've had issues with multiple editors, on it, and it just got to be a project that I had to shelve, but it's a project that I hold near and dear to my heart. And as
Well,
soon
that's
as
only
I'm
be-
able to pick it up again, I'm going to pick up junior finance, because those kids, they were incredible. All of my students are incredible.
Well, that's because you didn't go with the clear single production. Quality.
That is why. But yeah, no, if you guys ever want to do that, I would love
Yeah,
to bring
no,
some
so
of my
that'd be great.
students
We had
on.
Evelina Leia. She's a senior vice president for a major bank, and she came on and we did a financial literacy show about how credit is calculated,
Yeah.
how to use credit cards, and what's the way how to start credit for your for a child before they even turn 18.
Yep. I teach them all that.
Yeah, we did all that. Yeah, so we could just have her on and you on and your kids on, and we could just sit back in the corner and have a couple of beers, which we normally don't get to do on the show. But, could have a couple of bears and watch you guys go at like educate everybody. That would be awesome.
These kids
They
are
would be
really
good stuff.
incredible. And you asked me in the beginning, and I think I tangented, but you asked about how I had gotten involved in everything to talk about my process, and really what gave me the fire and the drive that I have for everything that I do was when I started learning about financial education and literacy, because again, I had tried to have a business before, did not do it right, completely didn't do it right, made a lot of money, gave it all away. And so I, financially should have never been in the situation that I was in over the past, couple of years, even leading up to now. But I had no idea what I was doing financially. I had no idea how to run my business. I didn't do anything appropriately. And so when COVID happened, I was not prepared for something like that, and I literally lost everything. I became dependent on my family, really, for me to get by. I lost everything, which I understand that process now, and I'm grateful for it. But at the time, it was very difficult. And so I had told myself that I was never going to allow myself ever again to be in a situation where my livelihood was controlled by anyone or anything else but myself. And that was when I started really diving into finance and just trying to teach myself as much as I can. That was when my notary business came to life, because at that point I had absolutely nothing. And I just started doing some research, because I had been an entrepreneur at that point for so long that the idea of going and getting a job at that point, just I would have rather died. So I was like, I have to figure out how to create a new business that does not have a lot of overhead to get starting, because I have nothing. I need something that is going to be a service that I can provide everywhere, because at the time I was like, I don't know if if I want to stay in Rhode Island, I need to be able to take this with me. Yeah. It needs to be something that people are always going to need, so that way it'll never be taken away from me. And that I did some research, and that was when I ended up, falling into the notary work. And so through promoting my notary work, I learned how to network. And I had started really diving into financial education to just teach myself things, because I had no idea how. I didn't come from, an environment that taught that. And once I started understanding all of these different financial aspects, and this is when I started actually paying attention to things that were going on in the world, and started paying attention to politics, because COVID was actively happening, something clicked in my brain, and I started to understand politics and government very differently once I understood the financial infrastructure that is associated with it, that most people do not see. And it lit a fire in me, and I became furious that we were not taught any of these things, and that so many people end up in the situation that I was in at the time, because we are not taught these things. And to see how closely correlated it was to the government and the things that were happening in politics, and I started realizing that everything that I thought that I believed just wasn't true. I was like, what? I'm telling everyone. Yeah. I'm telling everyone. and it became a passion of mine. So it was the finance really that put me on the path to eventually running for office, because once I became obsessed with it, it became my mission, and you can see it in everything that I do.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, get in there. That's going to be a good trait that you guys. You see you be able to. No, I'm serious.
Well, having actually a business experience. I mean, how many of them in there actually have business experience, running a business? So
hard.
It ain't easy. Yeah.
It's hard.
Or care.
Go through your trials and tribulations of doing it. It's like, as you know, experienced, it ain't easy.
It's not.
And some people do think it's easy. They think, oh yeah, hey, you run it. It's like, no, you got to run the business, still got to show up.
You got to run. And that's like all those notaries, that come to me, and then they end up going off to do, something else. But I'm always willing to help anyone with anything. I always try my best to be a resource to people where I didn't have resources, because I went through a lot of suffering. I lost a lot, and it was embarrassing, but you have to go through those experiences when you want to grow and when you want to experience. Yeah. And that's something that I have learned to appreciate. I've learned to be very grateful for everything that I have been through. But if there's anything that I can do to help prevent someone from having to go through what I went through, then I want to help them.
So you said you need to get in front of people in order to show them who you are and educate. So it's been like an hour and a half we've been talking. You've been educating us. If, let's say, conservatively, there are 5,000 homes in Cranston, and
in her district, you mean?
90 minutes, in her district, 90 minutes by 60 divided by 20. That's 312 days you're going to need to get to every home and educate.
I'm going to figure it out.
It is inspiring, because most people are going to homes and knocking on doors because they want the vote.
Yeah.
You are interested in being a rep because we want to basically give the freedom to these people that you ran for yourself. You know what I mean? And that, that's a noble cause. And more people need to care about that.
It
Too many people are knocking on doors and telling anybody what they want to hear to get the vote.
No, I'm not
And then-
endorsing. I'm like, this is exactly how your energy bill works. Go get it. I'm gonna show you what it means.
100%, no doubt about it. Yep.
Yep, this is exactly what it means. But in Cranston too, there's a lot of conversation in Cranston around the budget and around money, and that is a city council issue. And I was advised not to talk about it, but I don't care, because I think that people need to understand again that there is a differentiation between the municipal level and the state level. And right now, everyone in Cranston is hyper focused on the municipal level. But guess what? There's opportunity to bring down your cost of living as well at the state level. We need the municipal level and the state levels to both be working together. I've made a lot of efforts to build relationships with people that are on the city council, because we have to work together. If we really want to bring the costs down, it's not going to come only from the city, and it's not going to come only from the state. But I remember months ago when there were conversations about the potential for tax increases on the municipal level in Cranston, and the input that I had was, why are we only focusing on the city level? Because there's so much opportunity to create that cushion on the state level. And I really don't think it's fair for any of the city councils or town councils in the state to have to take on that burden of bringing down the cost of living, when no one's talking about the costs that have risen at the State House in Providence. No one's talking about it. And so I think it's important, and I have this conversation with a lot of the voters in my area, just to make them aware that these are conversations that I'm very grateful that people are focused on Cranston and people are getting more active and more involved, but we need to focus on the state level too. And it's important to have someone representing you who is going to interact with the city council and who's going to be able to interact with both the Republicans and both the Democrats on the city council, which I have proven that I can do with the former representative who I have worked with. That's just a part of my history. I can do it.
Yeah.
And it's important to have someone that can do that, because we need to attack these costs on every level.
And I think a lot of people think that it's, they don't focus on the state because they think it's outside their realm of influence.
Yeah.
Because they never see their rep and they never see their senator.
This you even see in District 18.
That's what I mean, So I think
The same thing is.
Yeah. I think the more that you knock on doors and the more you educate people and the more you're in the community and the more they see that you're not going to knock on the door for their vote, and then they don't see you again until you have a challenger, not even in 2 years.
There's no incumbent. I mean, there's no
race to do the incumbent.
Yeah.
You never see the incumbent. You'll never see the incumbent. They're not in session 12 months out of the year. They're in session a couple of months out of the year. So, but I think the more that you're involved in the community and around the community and educating the community, the more people will say, well, I can't affect what happens in the state.
They can affect it. Everyone can affect it. Again, like going back to that hypothetical about this illusion, like the illusion exists, but it can't exist if you're involved. It can't exist if you're involved. You have more power than you think. The voters have way more power than they think that they do, And so I'm here to remind them.
Excellent. That's good stuff. Yeah, I like it.
So I think that's a good place to have you tell us a little bit. If people want to donate money, if they want to find your website, and you give us tell us the names of all those things.
Yes, absolutely. So my website is jessicaforcranston.com. That is with a number 4, not the words. Yeah, jessicaforcranston.com. And on my website, you can volunteer, you can request a yard sign, you can leave a donation if you're inclined to do so. Thank you so much in advance. And then I have my issues on there, and I also have it on my website where any of my constituents, you can book some time to meet with me one-on-one. So I have 2 days that I have allocated time just to sit down and meet you. Like I said, I have to meet everyone in my district, and it's my goal to meet as many people as I can. So if you go on my website, you can book some time with me one-on-one. You will get a link to a Zoom, but if you prefer to meet in person, reach out to me. My cell phone number is posted everywhere. It is everywhere.
That's awesome.
So, shoot me a text because, like I said, my life is overwhelmingly busy with all of my projects and my campaign. So I don't always get to answer all of my phone calls, but I do see all of my text messages when they come in. You just say, hey, I'm from District 18. I will reply to you expeditiously. I want to meet you one-on-one. So please, visit my website, and then I'm on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook. I've had Facebook, I think, since the year it was created. I don't do well with the Instagram, but I'll have some help with that soon. But on Facebook, I have my own page, Jessica Gomes, so you can add me on there. I have Passgrove Group, which is the page for my business. And then I also have Jessica Gomes for House Representative in District 18. So, I put a lot of educational stuff out on my pages, which again, you'll be seeing more because now I have help, guys. I have finally surrendered and accepted help. But visit me on any of those platforms, please, and reach out to me directly.
Yeah. Well,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cranston, you got a good one here. Don't let this one slip through your fingers.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm trying my very best, and I am not going to quit. And if anyone has any ideas on how I can reach more people, because it may not be feasible for me to get in front of every single people on the door, I am going to try my damnedest. But if anyone has any other ideas, again, I am open to the ideas of the community. You tell me, Cranston. Tell me what you need me to do. Tell me what you want me to do. How can I make this convenient for you? Please let me know, and I will do it.
Awesome.
very good. Now on the Facebook and the Instagram, again, Clear Signal Production.
Yeah, I'm gonna add you today.
We're not. You can see by the ages of the guys on the show here that we're not very good with that stuff either. Well, Brad's good at fighting people on Facebook, but that's about it.
Oh yeah. No, I don't do that. I don't do that.
No. I just Facebook once in a while.
Feathers here and there.
But yeah, follow us, cumberlandunfiltered.com, Cumberland Unfiltered at Facebook, Cumberland Unfiltered Instagram. We're on TikTok now, right? Cumberland Unfiltered. I don't have TikTok, but I guess I should get TikTok. Oh, wow.
I don't have TikTok.
No. And yeah, go on YouTube and like and subscribe. I've been looking at the numbers occasionally, and we're have a steady increase going on. It's plus so we've done a couple.
Great content.
Yeah.
All these awesome candidates.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. No, this is a great show. It's very uplifting. A lot of our shows are.
I tend to have an effect on people. That's why they gotta get in front of me. Get in front of them.
Well, like that, and I'm not going to call out any specific people, but a lot of our shows are, the state's doing horrible, doom and gloom, and I'm hopeful after this show. I'm not leaving here thinking I got to find property in Maine. We can make
Don't leave. I'm gonna fix the legislation. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna do my best. I got to get in there first. I got to get in there first. So please, if you're watching, you're not from Cranston, but you know something Cranston, you got my phone number.
Yeah.
Please connect me with your people in Cranston.
Yeah, or if you're in Cranston, you're on a main avenue of high traffic area. Even if you're not in District 18, reach out.
Please.
Get a sign.
Yeah, get a sign, put it on there. Familiarity. People in Cranston or on Park Ave or wherever.
That's my district.
Yeah. You know what I mean. But even if they're outside of that, familiarity. If people go into the poll. They might not live in your district, but somebody who does might pass their house every day. That's a big part of it is the familiarity. That's why I thank Brad for putting up all those signs for me.
The familiarity works. I have an additional challenge because there's an R next to my name. Like I said before, I refuse to lie to people who I'm asking for them to vote for me. And so that is going to be a challenge for people who do not know who I am and who haven't had an opportunity to meet me.
That's right. People over party get to know your candidate.
Exactly. But like I said, I may not be the perfect option for everyone, but I'm the best option that they got. They only have two choices. So make the best choice that you can make and run against me in 2 years.
Yeah.
On that note, we have to say thank you very much.
Yes.
For coming.
Yeah. That was great. Great show.
That's a wrap.
Great show. That was awesome.